Welcome back. We've just discussed two of the four puzzle pieces, self-esteem and ESP. If you only have these two, you do okay. We all have some of each of these, of course, anyway. Maybe more peace of mind than self-esteem, or maybe more spiritual connection than awareness of our own intuition. Yet unless we see how these four are interdependent and work together seamlessly to bring what we want into our lives, many of us settle for just two in pretty good shape or all four in smaller fractions. In this video, we're drilling down on why serenity or peace of mind is such a critical factor in creating the whole get what you want out of life picture. You learned already that the voice of your intuition is the most trustworthy of all the inner and outer commentary you're exposed to every day. The voice most likely to guide you to health, abundance, safe and loving relationships, and meaningful self-expression. And you learned that a healthy self-esteem needs to be in place before and as you develop trust in your intuition. If you don't believe you deserve health, abundance, safe and loving relationships, and meaningful self-expression, no amount of intuitive awareness will be enough. Peace of mind allows you to check in with the degree of your self-esteem and the strength of trust in your intuition because it helps weed out the inner and outer commentary, those conscious and unconscious voices that distract us from our true calling and getting what we want out of our lives. It helps turn down the volume on those old tapes that play in our head, those old limiting beliefs, and creates a roomier playground for your imagination and your inspiration to develop deeper meaning or even totally different desires, maybe the desire beneath the desires. As you grow to trust your intuition and strengthen your sense of worthiness, you develop courage to be the guardian of your serenity. Think for a minute about all the conflicting emotions and thoughts you go through, especially around decision making or defining and pursuing what you want out of life. Are you really certain that you're pursuing what you want? Or is there an element of what you think you're supposed to want? What about a deep desire to make your mother proud? Or the opposite, to prove you can do something to somebody who thinks you cannot? What motivates you to go after what you want in life? When you have the bandwidth and the emotional and mental freedom from conflicting voices and motivations, it's easier to believe in that intuition of yours, the strong truth that guides you to fulfill and pursue what will give you the most contentment and satisfaction. And it doesn't matter where you are in life. You can be in the midst of a punishing divorce, struggling financially, living in a tense home, or working in a toxic environment. You can and must find peace of mind in order to safely and efficiently navigate to a better, more happy, or prosperous state. And when you have peace of mind, you operate from a position of conviction, and that has a whole lot of courage built into it, which a person needs whenever they start to make positive changes in life. We are all surrounded by people, even good, loving people, who have a vested interest in us staying just as we are. You can and should expect resistance when you identify a goal, especially if it takes you out of your comfort zone. And when you're at peace with your decision and your new direction, it's easier to fend off even the most devious sabotage. How does one go after peace of mind? I'll tell you what I did. I set up a 3-point filter system. I quietly determined what 3 top values were important to me. Values can be a loaded word, so let me state right now that I don't mean morals. Just 3 factors that are most important to me in any interaction. The first for me is serenity. That's my top requirement. I grew up in emotional chaos, emotional blackmail, and gaslighting. Now that I'm an adult with a healthy self-esteem, I decided I don't have to have that in my life. So any job, relationship, friendship, activity that adds to my peace of mind is welcome. Any that subtracts from it, well, that's reason enough to let it go. The second factor for me is direct communication. Growing up, I was subject to tons of passive-aggressive communication, unilateral contracts, expectations that I should just know what was expected of me. Now I don't tolerate any of it. Be direct. I can handle it. And finally, respect for everyone and everything. I won't buy your product or work in your company or eat at your restaurant if you employ children in sweatshops, test on animals, or treat other human beings as less than human. I require these all in some high measure before we can grow any closer or I invest any more time and money. You can bring joy and love into my life, communicate honestly. But if you litter, we're not going to work out. You can be passionate about the environment and truthful in all your delivery, but if you bring drama into my life, we are not going to work out. So think about 3 things that you'd like to have in place, a kind of filter system. It will help you eliminate the negative influences in your life that are there already and prevent more from coming in. You're going to need one more thing though, and that's the courage and ability to set boundaries. That's a word that's getting a lot of press these days, and many people have an immediate reaction to it. Bring it up and you might immediately get ridiculed by someone, usually someone who doesn't respect boundaries. So try this instead. Use preferences. It's a gentler, less triggering word, and nobody can argue with it. Nobody can say, well, you don't prefer that, not without sounding ridiculous anyway. Get those 3 filters in place and then start to practice ways to flex them by stating your preferences. For example, using my filters that I just talked about a moment ago, I could say something like, I prefer to limit my complaining and listening to complaints, so let's end each conversation with something forward-looking and positive. Or, I prefer a quiet hour before going to sleep, so if we have something serious to discuss, let's wait till morning. Or, I prefer you be honest with me, even if you're mad. I won't punish you for telling me the truth. Or how about, I prefer to spend my time or money with people who benefit green space. I prefer to shop from ethical sources. Your serenity is a considerable factor in identifying what you want out of your precious life. Protect it, because from the depths of that peace, your true desires and purpose will float up from your intuition and fundamental self-worth, allowing you to define and pursue everything you want out of life. So come on back to the next video and we're going to talk about spiritual curiosity. I'll see you then.